What's good, Raider Nation? It's your boy Sanjit back at it with another video, man. Today we're going to talk about the draft from yesterday as well as some of the targets that the Las Vegas Raiders have to target today, man. There's so many great players that got drafted, but there's a lot of really good football players that are still out there, that are still available for the Las Vegas Raiders. And we're going to talk about all of that plus more today. But I want to just give a big shout out to everybody that's here. Steve said, yo, Sanjit, maybe you can talk about the guard that the Pats took, what info you got on him. I'm kind of shocked. That is Cole Strange, offensive guard out of UTC. I actually like him, man. I think I had him like as my fourth or fifth guard, but I think he's going to be a really good football player. And I think people are way overreacting because people typically tend to draft the logo on the helmet as opposed to the actual player. I think that's kind of happening with the guard that the New England Patriots took. Cole Strange is going to be a good football player. He may end up being the best guard in this draft class, right? Like, it's possible, but he'll be a long-term starter. But big shout out to you for being here. Big shout out to My Opinion. Big shout out to Alexander. Big shout out to Ty Davis. Big shout out to Daddy's Long, Victor, Akis. Big shout out to all of you guys, man. I really, really appreciate it. The draft, man, it's here. It's really, really, really here. And I'm really excited to talk about it, man, because there's so much to discuss. You know, Josh McDaniels had his presser yesterday, and he was kind of asked about what he thought about the draft and kind of how he felt. And he kind of gave some good input. Josh McDaniels was asked about what he thought about the first round, and he said that it pretty much went the way they thought. And there was a run on wide receivers. All the top tackles were gone. And Georgia was pretty good on defense, so those guys would be gone too. Here's the crazy part about that. Josh McDaniels literally just confirmed in his quote yesterday that the Raiders are, or at least were, targeting a wide receiver and an offensive tackle. The fact that he said that all the top tackles were gone, which was kind of expected, and I understand, right? The top three guys are gone. With pick 22, technically, you couldn't have gotten Trevor Penny, which was a lot of people's fourth offensive tackle. But you could have gotten Tyler Smith, and you can get Bernhard Raymond among some other football players. And we're gonna talk about that in just a second. Yeah, man, I'm excited, man. I'm super, super excited. Van City Raiders CA says, do we trade Jacobs to get up into the second round? That would be interesting. I don't think any NFL team would be willing to trade a second round pick for Josh Jacobs. You know, AJ Brown yesterday got traded, and the reason why he got traded was because he's due a contract. When players are due contracts, that too, they're going to get top tier money. And Josh Jacobs is going to get $10, $11 million, right? At least with whatever team decides to pay him. If Josh Jacobs is going to get traded, it's going to be like a sixth round pick. No one's going to trade a second round pick for him. If you wanted to get a second round pick, you're looking at trading a guy like Darren Waller or Hunter Renfrow. And I don't even know if Hunter Renfrow would get you a second round pick, honestly. Darren Waller would probably be the only guy, and that wouldn't make sense, right? Darren Waller's too good of a player to trade up. Now, if the Raiders wanted to get into the second round pick, what you would have to do is give up your third round pick from this year and then your second round pick from next year, or maybe give up like a fifth round pick this year and a seventh round this year, and then your second next year. It's the only way you move up into the second round. It could happen. It could absolutely happen. I want to talk a little bit about the picks that happened yesterday. But before we get into that, I want to kind of just go through some more of these comments. Chevy said, do we pick today? Question mark. We do pick today. We got the 86th overall pick. We got one pick today. Then we'll have, I think, 4 picks tomorrow. We have 1 4th, 2 5ths, and I think a 7th. So it's going to be interesting. A lot of people are on the trade Josh Jacobs bandwagon. I'm not sure exactly how that kind of started. I'm going to assume someone's kind of posting it somewhere, either on YouTube or on Twitter, to trade Josh Jacobs. So, you know, I noticed the trend that sometimes Raider Nation will start saying the same things over and over, and it's almost like someone's kind of saying it out there. I don't think the Raiders should trade Josh Jacobs. I don't think it makes sense. He's under contract this year. I think you decline his 5th-year option. And you see how he does this year. If he doesn't ball out, if he doesn't go for 1,500 yards, you let him walk, right? You can always get another running back. Digital Press, big shout out to you, man. How do you do, Sanji? I'm doing well, brother. I hope you're doing well as well. Big shout out to you, man, for reals. If you guys don't know, Digital Press is the one that helped me with the intro. So shout out to you, man. Raider187 says, shout out to you from Germany. Sanji, big shout out to you. Good morning to all of you guys. 150 people here. All right, let's get into this video, man. A lot of people are talking about Kobe Bryant. I think that's the tight end, or is that the cornerback? I think that's the corner. But let's get into this, man. Josh McDaniels talked about the fact that the top offense tackles were gone. He talked about how the top wide receivers, there was a run on those guys. Expect the Raiders to draft a offense tackle. Like, just expect it. I'm like 90% positive they're going to take an offense tackle. So, which offense tackle should the Raiders target? There's a lot of really good tackles out there in the class. And some of these guys are going to be gone, right? They're going to be second-round picks. But you got guys like Bernhard Raymond from Central Michigan, who I absolutely love. You have guys like Abraham Lucas out of Washington State. Luke Gadicki, Central Michigan, absolutely love him, man. He would be the perfect fit for the Raiders. He's big, strong, physical, great run blocker. He'll continue to improve in pass blocking, have no doubt in my mind. Luke Gadicki may be there with the 86 overall pick. Not 100% sure. But a offense tackle to watch, one that I absolutely love, is going to be Kellen Diesch out of Arizona State. Arizona State has produced some good football players, and I think this guy is going to be really good once he gets into the league. Kellen Diesch, Arizona State. Remember the name. I'm excited to kind of discuss some more of these prospects, but I actually do want to just shift focus really quickly and talk about the guys that got drafted yesterday. I kind of want to just give you guys my overview of those guys. Let me see if I can shift this. If I can share my screen with you guys here. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what ends up happening, right? Because so many of these players ended up getting picked. These good players too, right? But just to kind of go over the draft, and we'll get into some of the super chats as well. I did not like the Trayvon Walker pick, man. I posted a video on my second YouTube channel called The Football Scout. Not a fan of Trayvon Walker. I understand why teams pick players the way they do, right? Sometimes teams will take the most explosive player in the hopes that he develops. But I don't know. It's like the argument of, would you rather have Cleveland Farrell or would you rather have Max Crosby, right? One is way more explosive, better body, better everything. But then the other one has like the pass rushing, the work ethic. And I just don't see it. I don't know why you would take Trayvon Walker over a guy like Aidan Hutchinson or even Kayvon Thibodeaux. Right, Thibodeaux, before, when all we had to evaluate these guys was the tape, Thibodeaux was the number 1 overall pick. So I don't know how he ended up, how 4 guys went before him and how he ended up falling because of some rumors about he doesn't love football. I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, honestly. And big shout out to Raider Nightmare, aka Raider Cortez, left a $5 super sticker. Big shout out to you, man. I really appreciate it. As you guys know, the 2 ways to support this channel are super chats and super stickers, of course. And becoming a member really helps this channel grow, because then I know exactly what to expect in terms of revenue. It allows me to really figure out, like, do I have to put all this time into working my 9 to 5, or could I make the shift into being a full-time YouTuber, being a full-time content creator? One of the things that I actually did was I'm taking PTO today and hope maybe next week as well, because I want to make some film studies. I want to do some film breakdowns. And unfortunately, all those videos always get demonetized. I made a video on my second YouTube channel yesterday on Tyler Smith, the guy that Dallas Cowboys picked. 25,000 views on that video in literally, like, it hasn't even been 10 hours. 25,000 views, and it got demonetized just like that. And that could have been a $200 video, right? That could have been a video that really helps me in terms of, like, I put like 5 hours into that video. I put so much time into it, and that video got instantly demonetized. It doesn't happen all the time, but a lot of the film videos, it does happen to, right? It's unfortunate. Some people are asking, how do I become a member? If you guys scroll down, if you're watching on mobile, there should be a join button somewhere, or in the description of this video. If you guys hit the description button, you guys will also see right there, there's a link in the description. So but let's get back into this, man. Ikem Ekwonu went before Evan Neal. If you guys remember, I did a video where I talked about my top 12 offensive line. I had Ikem Ekwonu as my number 1 offense tackle. He's my number 3 overall lineman, but I had him as my number 1 offense tackle over Evan Neal, and I think that's the right pick. I think the Panthers, Ikem Ekwonu is the better player. I know some people love Evan Neal. Drake London goes to the Atlanta Falcons. He'll get to play with Marcus Mariota, which is kind of interesting if you guys think about it, right? Marcus Mariota, in my opinion, is a good quarterback, man. I saw him play one time against the Chargers. I think he's a good player. We'll see if he has success, right? He could have success. I'm not a big fan of Charles Cross, but that is what it is. We got some receivers, and then Jordan Davis going to the Eagles. I'm not a fan of Jordan Davis. I've kind of made that clear. But the thing I do like about Jordan Davis is the fact that he's going to go play with Fletcher Cox. Like, that's such a great defensive tackle tandem. Like, how do you block those two guys, right? It's a great pick. I think the first disappointing pick was the Houston Texans taking Kenyon Green. 15th overall, they take Kenyon Green, and then right after them, the Washington football team took Jahan Dotson. Not a fan of either of those two guys. And I take that back. I'm a fan of Kenyon Green, right? I think Kenyon Green's going to be a good football player. But the thing is I don't think he's better than Zion Johnson. And I think the Texans made that mistake by taking Green over Johnson, because then the Chargers got Zion Johnson. And I don't think Raider fans understand this, but Zion Johnson is the best offensive lineman in this entire draft. He has the chance to become the best overall offensive lineman in the league. Maybe number 2 to someone like Quentin Nelson, right? Or Trent Williams, right? Zion Johnson has that type of potential. And the fact that the Chargers already had Rashawn Slater, remember, Rashawn Slater was a rookie last year, and he shut down Max Crosby and Yannick Ngakoue. He shut those guys down. And now they got Zion Johnson, who also has that type of talent and potential. That left guard, left tackle tandem is going to be really good for the Chargers. Chargers did right this draft, but the Texans messed up, I think, and so did the Washington football team, because you take Jahan Dotson over Treylon Burks doesn't make a lot of sense in my opinion. The Chiefs traded up with the New England Patriots and took Trent McDuffie, which, not a big fan of it, honestly. Not a big fan of Trent McDuffie. But it is what it is. And you know what's crazy is the Green Bay Packers took Quay Walker, which is crazy to me that the Raiders literally traded Quay Walker for Devonte Adams, at least one of the 2 picks that we traded him. I know some people love Walker, but he is not a first-round pick, in my opinion. I mean, his overall rank was 31, and he's the 3rd linebacker, but yet he was the first linebacker taken. You could have had Devin Lloyd. I don't know what the hell the Packers were thinking. It almost seems like people forget, like, Patrick Willis and Ray Lewis are 2 of the greatest linebackers of all time. Those guys are the opposite of Quay Walker. Quay Walker is like Corey Littleton or someone like Shaq Thompson, right? He's that coverage type of linebacker. He's quick, he's explosive, but he's not the downhill linebacker. Like, people forget, linebacker, you still have to defend the run, right? I know it's not as important as pass coverage, but I don't know. I just don't. I don't like the pick. Tyler Smith goes to the Dallas Cowboys at pick 24. One of my favorite offensive linemen in this class. Love the Tyler Smith pick. And if I didn't mention it, Tyler Smith was the video that got the 25,000 views on my second channel that got demonetized. I love Tyler Smith. I really do. I think he's going to be one of the best players from this draft class. I think in 5 years, when we look back at it, Tyler Smith plays next to Tyron Smith. He'll be the left guard until he eventually takes over at left tackle for the Cowboys. Love the pick. A player that fell was Devin Lloyd. I think the Jags did a great job getting him, and then Devonte Wyatt, of course. And then some people are scratching their heads with the Cole Strange pick, and we'll discuss this just really quickly, and that'll be the last pick. You can see ESPN had the 77th overall rank on Cole Strange, but yeah, he went with the 29th overall pick. So some people are disappointed with that pick. Now, there's not a lot of tape you can find about the UTC left guard, but he's a good football player. Like, you can make the argument after Zion Johnson, Cole Strange is the next best offensive lineman. And he had a great Senior Bowl, right? And the thing is these are the types of players that come into the league and just are good players for the next 10 years. And the Patriots lost Shaq Mason, so I think this is a good fit. I know it's a guard in the first round, but 2 other guards got taken in the first round as well. So it's going to be interesting. I do like the Chiefs defensive end here in George Karlaftis from Purdue. And then you got 2 safeties, but kind of interesting. Let's get into some of these super chats, man. Big shout out to all the comments, and then we're gonna talk about the Raiders and some potential players, because I think this is where the Raiders win a Super Bowl based off of some of these picks here. I really believe that. Medwin said, "I hope Asamoah is there at 86," and I think that's how you say his name, but. That'll be interesting. I don't know if I would take him with the 86 overall pick. Cool Zay said trade Abrams, dude gets burned way too much. I don't know, man. I like Jonathan Abram. Remember, he's really just about to enter year 3, right? Because his entire rookie year, he was out. Year 2, he played. He got, and you can see his tape and see that this guy's a rookie. Year 3, which was this year, he was 7th in Pro Bowl votes. He was literally 3 spots out of becoming a Pro Bowler before he got hurt. So don't forget the improvements that Abram can make this year. We'll obviously see how he does. He has 1 year to prove it, and this will be that year. Chung Kim said, yo, Sanjit, love your content. Glad it was a quiet night for the Raiders and we didn't trade Waller for a pick. You think we trade up into the second, or can we still grab a quality offensive starter in the third? Here's the thing. We can absolutely get an offensive tackle in the third round. You know, it's crazy to me because I was having conversations with some Raider Nation on Twitter, and it almost seems like people forget. Our current projected starting right tackle, Brandon Parker, was a third-round pick. Now, he was a reach in the third round, in my opinion, but he was a third-round pick, and he was a project player. There's starters that are going to be available in the third round at the right tackle position. Some examples would be like Luke Gadicki, who I absolutely love. Kellen Deesh out of Arizona State, absolutely love him. Some other players that you can get maybe after the third round that are maybe a little bit more project players. You got Zach Thomas out of San Diego State. You have Spencer Burford out of UTSA. And again, there's some other good players. Even the LSU offensive lineman, Austin Deculus, one of the guys that I absolutely love. I think he's super smart. You know, there's a lot of offensive linemen in this class. Now, obviously, the question mark will be, do the Raiders actually want to move forward? Do the Raiders want to go into the season with like a third or a fourth round pick on the right tackle position? And that's going to be the biggest question, right? I was super glad that the Raiders did not trade up, right? Because I don't know, something was telling me the Raiders may trade up for Trevor Penning or one of these guys, right? And I was hoping that Tyler Smith would fall into the second round, but the Cowboys drafted him with the 24th overall pick. I was hoping that he would fall into the second round and then the Raiders could trade up for him. And I would have traded our third round pick and our second round pick next year for Tyler Smith. I think he's going to be a really good football player. But I am glad that the Raiders sat back and they didn't do much, right? I'm really glad to see that. Now, I do think it would be smart and wise to trade up into the draft this year. You know, if the Raiders really want a right tackle that can be the future of this team, I think you trade into the top five, the first 5 picks into the second round. I know it would cost a lot for the Raiders to move up into that pick, but if the Raiders moved up into the top 5 picks in the second round, you get Bernhard Raymond as your right tackle or Luke Gadicki, maybe, top 20 picks in the second round. You're going to shore up your right tackle position for a long time. And I almost feel like that's exactly what the Raiders have to do. Get your future right tackle. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers 2 seasons ago realized that they had a big hole at the right tackle position and that Tom Brady was not going to have success with all the superstars around him unless the Buccaneers protected him. So with their first overall pick, they took Tristan Wirfs. I think he was like the 8th or 9th or 12th or something like that. He was a top 15 pick. If the Raiders want to have that same success, I think we got to get away from Brandon Parker. I think Brandon Parker is going to be an Achilles heels of the Las Vegas Raiders. That's just my personal opinion. But I really appreciate the super chat. It's a really, really, really great question. Victor says, how do I basically feel about the Ravens center? Here's the thing. I love him. I absolutely love him. I love the pick. Tyler Linderbaum out of Iowa State. Great football player. He was my number 2 overall offensive lineman in this class. Centers aren't valued that high. It's kind of like safeties, right? You can be the best center in this entire draft. You can be the best safety in the entire draft. You can be the best overall player at the center or safety position, and a safety won't go in the top 10. He'll go like 14th or 15th, right? Like Kyle Hamilton. The Ravens took him 14th pick. You look at Derwin James a couple years back, 17th pick. Safeties just aren't valued that high, and centers aren't either. And there's a reason why, right? The Raiders converted a tackle into a center, and he was a good enough football player last year, right? There's just some positions that aren't valued that high, but I think he's going to be a great football player for a long time. Shane Moore said that Walker is better than Dean. Lloyd is better. I don't know. I think Walker and Dean are 2 different players, right? They played in front of 4 first-round picks. So although you can make the argument, I think they're different players, and I think scheme fit in the NFL is going to make a difference. But I think Devin Lloyd is the best linebacker in this class. I think Devin Lloyd had top 10 to 15 potential. And I don't know how he fell, but he fell. Obviously, some people don't value the fact that he played at Utah very much, but I think he's going to be a good football player. Shane Morris says Smith is only 20 years old too. Yeah, I think he just turned 21 in April. So he's super, super young still. So that is why I like him so much, right? Because he's so young still. I see a lot of your guys' comments, a lot of your guys' questions. Um, G Shield said, any chance Mechie is a target? We have no clear number 2 outside option. Robinson and Edwards will fight for that spot, but why not get your speed guy and a great route runner in Mechie? So I don't think Mechie is going to be available with the 86th overall pick. Right now, according to ESPN, Mechie is the 3rd best wide receiver available. George Pickens is 4. Calvin Austin is the 7th. David Bell is the 9th. Realistically, we're going to see a lot of wide receivers get taken over the next couple of picks, right? Like a lot of wide receivers are going to be taken. And here's the thing, right? You look at the players that are going to end up getting drafted in the next 10 picks. After the first 3 or 4 wide receivers in the first round, the wide receivers that are kind of left now are going to be the guys that are going to get taken like really, really quickly. It's going to be very interesting, man. Robin Plummer said hi from London. Sanjit, love your content. Go Raiders. Big shout out to you, man. I think the Raiders should target a wide receiver. I think that was a really good comment. Some people are saying to trade Jacobs for a 2nd-round pick. No one's going to offer the Raiders a 2nd-round pick for Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is not worth a 2nd-round pick. And not saying that his talent isn't worth the 2nd-round pick, right? Because if Josh Jacobs was in this draft, he may be the best running back in the class. But the thing is he's due a contract. So if you're trading a 2nd-round pick for Josh Jacobs, you're also trading $10 to $11 million because you're going to make him paid. Right, Josh Jacobs is going to get paid, and that's the thing, right? I appreciate all the comments. I appreciate what a lot of you guys are saying. What's going on, Spotlight Raider Talk? Big shout out to you, man. Again, it's going to be super, super interesting to see what the Raiders end up doing in this draft. If you guys think about this for a second, right? There's a lot of good offensive tackles. There's some good guards. And the Raiders could use either a left guard or a right tackle. And I think the Raiders need to consider it. Now, I know Denzel Good may come back in as a guard, but think about it from this perspective. Denzel Good could potentially play right tackle. And you could potentially, if one of the top tackles isn't there, in the 3rd round, you could take the best guard available. Right, Ed Ingram could be a target for the Raiders at guard. Jamari Salyer from Georgia could be a potential guard. Darian Kinnard, right, out of Kentucky, could be a potential guard as well. So there's definitely a lot of good guards. There's a lot of good tackles. Yeah, man. So it's gonna be very interesting. Zeus or Zux said, "Hey Sanjit, big fan from Denmark. Keep up the good work." I appreciate that, man. For reals, I really, really, really appreciate that. The Spotlight Raider Talk said, do you think we get a running back in the later rounds? I did a video on it. Big shout out to you, man. If you guys are not subscribed, go check his channel out, man. It's a very solid channel. I don't know if we get a running back. I'll be the first to tell you guys. I didn't really evaluate the running backs in this class. I know some people have talked about Brian Robinson out of Alabama. I don't know if Josh McDaniels would take that type of running back, right? Not saying he's not explosive. He obviously is, but I could see like a guy like Jerome Ford, who's a little bit quicker, Pierre Strong out of South Dakota State, even a guy like Hassan Haskins, maybe like as a 5th-round choice. But do the Raiders really need a running back? And I would ask you guys that, right? Let me know what you guys think. Do the Las Vegas Raiders need a running back in this draft? We have Josh Jacobs and Kenyon Drake under contract at the moment. We picked up Bolden who's with the Patriots, who, although he's a special teams player, is technically like the 3rd running back. I don't know. I really don't know, but I appreciate the comment. Big shout out to you. Some people are saying Josh, our 5th and our 2 7ths for a 2nd-round pick. That's maybe a little bit more realistic, but I still don't know if it makes sense to trade away Josh Jacobs. What do you guys think? Should the Raiders trade away Josh Jacobs? Let me know in the comments below. Ruben Ross, big shout out to you, man, for the super chat. Super chats really help this channel, so big shout out to you, man. If there's a run on quarterbacks early in the 2nd, would you trade up in the late 2nd or early 3rd if someone falls? Absolutely. And you know what's crazy is someone is going too far. I have no doubt in my mind that Malik Willis, and you look at the quarterback class, right? You got Malik Willis, you got Desmond Ridder, Matt Corral, Sam Howell, Carson Strong. There's at least 5 quarterbacks that could go in the 2nd to 3rd round. Maybe not all of them, but I think some of them will absolutely go. And if that happens, like, does Nakobe Dean fall? does a guy like David Ajabo out of Michigan fall, who could be a good fit for the Raiders? What about Travis Jones or Logan Hall, right? The defensive tackles. Like, it's going to be an interesting, and a player that a lot of people don't even talk about, who I absolutely love, is Christian Harris out of Alabama. Like, could you imagine if the Raiders finally took a linebacker in Christian Harris, an inside linebacker? Now, I know we have Divine Diablo, but I think we need to get another linebacker to go with Diablo. Not saying that I don't like Denzel Perryman, but Denzel Perryman just came off a Pro Bowl season, and if he has another good season, he's going to want to get paid. But I think he has some limitations in coverage. And I think we need to get a younger linebacker that could run, especially in this division. And then even John Mechie, like right now, ESPN has him ranked as the 24th prospect remaining, which means he should be drafted somewhere in the late picks. And again, late in the second round, which means could the Raiders potentially trade up? Very interesting, man. I do hope that quarterbacks get taken. It's gonna be interesting to see who takes Malik Willis, right? He's gonna be a second round pick at this point. And I think he's a good player still, right? I really do. So it'll be very interesting. I appreciate the super chat. I really do. A lot of good comments coming in. Robin said, "New tight end question mark." I don't know. There's rumors out there that Darren Waller is not going to be traded. Interestingly, Darren Waller actually came out yesterday and he said that him and the Raiders are in contract talks. So the talks are being done at the moment. And I'll make a video on that probably after this and we'll get into it. But I don't know if tight end makes sense. I know we did bring in a couple of tight ends during the draft process, Isaiah Likely, James Mitchell. But I don't know. I don't think drafting a tight end has a lot of upside. I feel like tight end's one of those positions that go and sign a free agent tight end because most tight ends don't pan out, right? And it's just one of those positions. But yeah, man, I appreciate all the super chats. I appreciate all the comments. Ty Davis said, sending props. Great channel, Sanji. Big shout out to you, man. I really appreciate it. There's some good defensive tackles available too. How would you guys feel if the Raiders took a defensive tackle? And maybe we don't move up. Maybe we kind of just stay put where we're at right now. But there's an Alabama tackle that people don't really talk about who I think could be pretty good. LeBron Ray. He's their second tackle, and he's going to be a candidate to go like 5th round. And I think that's a good, solid option. But even more so than that, like there's 3 good defensive tackles remaining still. Travis Jones out of UConn, Perion Winfrey out of Oklahoma, and Fadarian Mathis out of Alabama. I think all 3 are going to be good football players. They're all good. They all have good hands, and they can all be good pass rushers. Obviously, they have to develop into that. But there's some good football players left. I remember having a conversation with someone 2 years ago, and they said that outside of the first round, like second, third, fourth round does not matter. Like those players are not even going to be like contributors. They're like special teams guys. And what's crazy about that is that you win Super Bowls based off the guys you take from rounds 2 to 4 or 2 to 5, because those are the guys that are going to come in and have impacts. Those are the guys that will, when Divine Diablo gets hurt for a game, you need your 3rd round pick to step in and fill in for that game. When your right tackle goes down, you need your 5th round right tackle to step in and potentially fill in, or your undrafted wide receiver to step up and make that big catch, right? And I think today and tomorrow is going to be so important for the Raiders that this is where we win Super Bowls, man. I really do believe that. My opinion said Steelers taking Pickett. What so obvious? It's a crazy pick, man. Everyone thought that the Steelers were going to take Malik Willis, and then here they come taking Kenny Pickett. It's very interesting that they would go with Pickett. I still had Malik Willis as the number 1 quarterback. I think he's going to be the best quarterback out of this class. Although I think depending on where he goes, right? If he goes to the Texans, it's terrible. He's not going to have success. Texans suck. But if Malik Willis went to the Steelers, who's a well-run franchise with a good quarterback, with a good coach, that would be a potentially good option for him. Or if Malik Willis goes to the Packers, right, which is historically run really well, he has success. But I don't know. I don't know which team will end up taking him. So it'll be interesting. A lot of people are saying the Raiders need an offensive lineman. JT Money said that's what I see us doing. Maybe the defensive tackle from UCLA. It's going to be interesting, man. I think I watched his tape. I don't really know how to say his name. Is it Ogbonia? I remember watching this tape, and the UCLA defensive tackle from last year, I think, was much better. I think the guy from this year has some potential. I don't know how good he could be. And I don't know if I would take him with the 86 overall pick. I think one of the things with defensive tackles is if you're going to draft the defensive tackle, you draft the defensive tackle that has a good pass rush, because most defensive tackles are pretty much the same player, right? You either have a really good run defender that can't pass rush, or you have a guy that's just kind of average. He's average at run defending, he's average at pass rushing, and that's kind of most defensive tackles in the league. But then you have those guys with great hands, and I think that those guys have the most potential to be great pass rushers, guys that can get after the quarterback, maybe get you 5 or 6 sacks a season. I don't know if I see that from the UCLA defensive tackle, but I appreciate the comment. Big Shane also said, who was the last real big name defensive tackle that we drafted? Darrell Russell. I'm not even sure, to be honest. Maybe we changed that this year, right? I wanted Christian Barmore last year, and we obviously passed on him. Now, obviously, that was a completely different regime. I don't know what this regime is going to do, but we'll see it. We'll see what this regime is going to do in the next day or two, because this regime, in my opinion, is different. It's not going to value Alabama guys or LSU guys or Clemson guys. They don't care, right? They're going to do their own way. And the interesting thing is, if you kind of look at what the Patriots do, right? The Patriots take like the small school guys, right? They don't care about the school. They care about the talent. And I don't know if Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels feel the same way. And I know that's kind of what Bill Belichick used to do, right? And he kind of proved it again last night. You take the UTC guard. Maybe that is what we do, right? Maybe we end up taking one of these guys from like a smaller school. So we'll end up seeing what happens. So it'll be very, very interesting. Big shout out to Raid the Tape. He said, glad to see you live. Big shout out to you, man. I apologize. I missed you by just a couple minutes yesterday. I'll try to get on live with you today. After this video, I'm going to try getting some film videos out. But if you go live today during the draft, I'll try hopping on. I may go live. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to go live today. I may just end up going live when the Raiders pick kind of comes around. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But big shout out to you, man. Big shout out to you. We have another super chat. This one comes from Omar. Big shout out to you. Us bringing in T.I. is more because of Foster. I don't think he's not good. Also, Sanjit, check out Khalid Rashid, offensive tackle. The guy is an animal, can get in the 4T. Big shout out to you, man. I'm not 100% sure about your comment. It's kind of all over the place. But us bringing in T.I. is more because of Foster, or a tight end is because more of Foster. I could see that being true for sure. I don't think he's not good. Also, check out Khalid Rashid, offensive tackle. Is that Rashid Walker? Is that someone else? Let me look at the list of offensive tackles. I know there's Rashid Walker out of Penn State. I don't see anyone else with that name, but shout out to you, man. I appreciate the comment. Trevor said Sanjit's go. Big shout out to you, Trevor. Omar, I appreciate super chat for reals. I think the Raiders do need to really consider getting themselves an offense tackle with that 86 overall pick and consider moving up. You can get a defensive tackle next year, the year after. You can get a safety in the future. You can get a running back in the future, but you need a tackle. Tackle is one of the most important positions. After quarterback, after cornerback, after defensive end, tackle is right there. Like, there's no one else you should value more than an offensive tackle. There's a reason why last night we had 5 offensive tackles taken in the first round. And some of those guys may not have been first-round players, right? Like Trevor Penning and Tyler Smith were probably second-round players, right, in terms of talent. But because they're offensive tackles, they go in the first round. And then you have guys like Kyle Hamilton, Fall, who may be the best player in the draft because positional value matters, right? Phoenix Raiders said that they are working on a Waller extension. They did say that, and we'll talk about that. I'll actually make a separate video after this to kind of discuss that. Justin Patterson said, "What's good, Sanjit? Do you know when the day 2 of the draft starts?" I believe it's 4 Pacific Standard Time. At least that's what I saw, and I hope that is correct. So I may not go live at 4. I'll probably go live around like 5 or a little after 5, unless the Raiders make a trade. You never know. Right? You never know if the Raiders make a trade. With so many great players on the board, But I think what would be smart is to just kind of let the draft fall to us. We already traded away our first and second round picks for a superstar player, but I think what would be smart is to just kind of let it fall to us. A guy that I think the Raiders should target who could potentially fall is like a guy like Fedarian Mathis. You can even draft a guard with the 86th overall pick. I wouldn't be mad at that. A lot of good guards out there for the 86th overall pick. Even a wide receiver, man. I would be all for the Raiders to trade up into the top like 10 of the second round and trade away our second round pick from next year and get a guy like John Mechie. There's some teams that had so many picks in the first round and in the second round that they may look to get rid of one or two of their picks from this year and then move them into next year. If like the Raiders had 3 first round picks in 2019, I would have traded one of them for a first round pick for the following year. And maybe you keep that going when you trade that first round pick in that following year for a couple of second or third round picks, right? And just continue to stack picks. I think, getting rookies is such a key part of winning, in my opinion, especially long term. And it's not even just these picks, man. Could you guys imagine? When the undrafted guys come around? They say that this draft has over 1,400 eligible players, when in reality, every other year it's like 600 or 700. So we have double the amount of players, and that's a lot of players. That means a lot of players are going to go undrafted. It's going to be interesting. Raid the Tape said best pick of the first round, ? I say Ravens with Hamilton. I can agree with that. I think the Ravens in general did a great job. You got Kyle Hamilton with the 14th, and then I think with the 25th, you got Tyler Linderbaum from Iowa, who's a great football player as well. Who else went well? I think the Devin Lloyd pick for Jags was fantastic, because I think Devin Lloyd, I don't know how he falls outside the top like 15. I don't know. It's very interesting. And I love the Devonte Wyatt pick by the Green Bay Packers. I think that was a great pick as well. I think Devonte Wyatt has the talent to be the best defensive tackle. Obviously, he has some off-field issues, which kind of had his stock fall a little bit. Even Kayvon Thibodeaux, man, what's crazy is, I said this at the beginning of the video. What's crazy is, if you guys think about it, when all we had to evaluate players was the tape, Kayvon Thibodeaux was the number 1 overall player in this class. Everybody said he is the guy. He's the number 1 overall pick. And then with Trayvon Walker, people are like, this guy's not even a first round pick, right? And that was when we only had the tape to evaluate players. And then the season ends. And then what we have now is the off season, right? Oh, the rumor of this guy doesn't love football. This guy has this issue. This guy does that. Oh, this guy had an explosive combine. He has these crazy measurables. And then out of nowhere, Trayvon Walker, who most people did not say was a first round pick, purely based off the tape, ends up being the number 1 overall pick. And Kayvon Thibodeaux, who everybody said was the number 1 overall pick, ends up falling number 5 to the Giants. I think the Giants did a great job too, because you got Thibodeaux with the 5th overall pick, and then you got Evan Neal with the 7th overall pick. So great pick right there. I think I love the draft. When you watch tape on these guys, you kind of see what their pros and cons are. And then you see these guys actually get drafted, and it's just one of those things, man. It's probably the best time of the year, right? It may be better than the actual season, in my opinion. That's probably just the film of me talking, right? But big shout out to you, man. I really appreciate it. NorCal Raider Jesse said the Jets had good picks, in my opinion. So I think the Jets took Gardner. I think Sauce Gardner with their first pick. And I don't know who they took with their second pick. Someone can probably confirm that for me. But I do remember thinking this last night when I was looking at their picks. The Jets did have really good picks as well. Yeah, so there's a lot of good people. So Cool Zay said missing super chats. I don't think I missed a super chat. If I did, I don't see them coming up on my screen, so I apologize. I see this one. Ruben Russ said, if there's a run on quarterback early in the second, would you trade up to the late second or early third if someone falls? I don't know if there was another super chat after that. I apologize if I missed your guys' super chat. I don't see them on the screen here. This is the only other super chat that I see. But Ruben Russ said, if there's a run on quarterback, well, actually, we talked about this. Yeah, I already saw this one too. So I'm not sure. Cool Zay 1995. You said missing super chats. LOL. are there super chats that I missed? If I did, copy and paste those super chats, and I'll see if I can get those. But yeah, man, it's gonna be interesting to see what the Raiders do. Do the Raiders trade up? Do they stay at 86? And I see a lot of people are saying the Jets took Garrett Wilson. That I love that, man. If you guys have not seen any of my videos on my second channel, or if you guys have, you guys will know that in my intro video, keep in mind that intro video was made last year. That intro video, I think it's the second play, is Garrett Wilson coming in motion and taking a handoff to the house. I love Garrett Wilson last year. The three guys, if any of you guys can name the three guys, I'll send you guys $25 right now. If you guys can name the three players in my intro video, I'll send you guys $25. So if you guys can do that, figure that out. The Football Scout is that channel. If you guys haven't checked it out, go watch the intro video. But yeah, man, I apologize if I missed any super chats. So big shout out to all of you guys. I see so many aggressive comments, such great comments. Crujo said Eagles, ? Eagles, I think, had a great draft as well. And it's not even just a draft. I mean, you get AJ Brown, that's fantastic. And that too, like, I'm surprised AJ Brown only got $25 million. I would have expected AJ Brown to become the highest paid player. AJ Brown played with Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill's not even that good of a quarterback. And AJ Brown still dominated. And he was hurt last year too, slightly. And I don't know. I think I truly believe this. I think the Eagles get AJ Brown, and then you get Jordan Davis. I don't know, man. That's I think the Eagles may be the best team in that division this year. And I think that's also because you took Jalen Hurts and you stuck with him and you gave him weapons, right? You take two wide receivers over the past 2 seasons. You add another guy like Devontae Smith, Jalen Reagor, hopefully he can step a little bit, Devontae Smith, and I got AJ Brown to go with the quarterback in Jalen Hurts. I think if you spread it out and you let Hurts do his thing, I think the Eagles may end up being a really good team. A lot of people are saying the Titans got fleeced, which I'm not going to disagree, but I don't 100% agree either. And I say this because, yes, the Titans traded away A.J. Brown, but you also saved $25 million a year, right? Never underestimate the cap. The cap is such an important thing. Don't be surprised when the Raiders have to trade away Hunter Renfrow or Josh Jacobs, or one of these other guys gets cut, and we say, why the hell did you do that? It's going to be because of the cap space. You can't sign every single player. There's a reason why the Titans couldn't pay AJ Brown $25 million, why the Chiefs couldn't pay Tyreek Hill $30 million, why the Packers couldn't pay Devontae Adams $20.5 million. You cannot pay every player. And what the Titans did was they traded away AJ Brown and they replaced him with Treylon Burks. Treylon Burks is my number one wide receiver. So I don't know if I would say Titans got fleeced. I do like AJ Brown a lot, but I also like Treylon Burks. Sometimes people say that there's sometimes people talk a little bit about how when you have a great system, you have a great scheme, you can replace players and just continue having success. And the Titans have showed that they could do that, right? Like Julio Jones didn't have the same impact with the Titans he had with the Falcons, but they still made the playoffs and they were still the number one team in the AFC. And I get they lost in round 1, or I should say round 2. I think they had a first round bye. They lost in their first game, so we'll see. Two Rome left a $2 super chat without a comment. Big shout out to you. Cool Zay said once again that I'm missing super chat, so I'm gonna actually just pull it up on my phone really quickly to see if I'm not just getting them on my end. Again, I'm not sure why I wouldn't be getting them, but let me pull it up really quickly on my phone just to see if I am missing super chats. Again, I don't know why StreamYard, which is the platform I use, would not include the super chats. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Let me pull this up really quickly. And again, I apologize if I'm missing your guys' super chats. Can someone confirm in the comments if I'm missing them? I'm pulling it up right now, but I don't see any super chats on my phone either. So again, I apologize if the super chat already got missed. I'll go back and refund any super chats, or I may just make a video and answer those super chats. So Joel said, nah, you're not missing them. I appreciate you confirming that. Glitch25 said, did the wide receiver from Baylor get picked yet? Not yet. The Baylor wide receiver is Tyquan Thornton. I think he was the guy that ran like the 4.22 or the 4.23. I've heard that he's not going to go until way later, and he would be a 4th or a 5th round option. So we'll see what ends up happening there, but he has not been picked. I think the Raiders actually brought him in, so don't be surprised if the Raiders take him with the 86 overall pick. I would not be opposed to taking a wide receiver with that 86 overall pick. Like, I would not be opposed to it. I think a wide receiver 86 overall pick changes everything, but I think it has to be the correct wide receiver. And I wouldn't be opposed to trading up and getting a wide receiver. Like, I would not be opposed to that at all. John Mechie is still there. George Pickens, both of those guys have speed. I would not be opposed to that. If you guys could hit that thumbs up button right now, I'd really, really appreciate it. And consider becoming a member. Members really help this channel grow, man. I could not say that enough. And I will always try to answer the member comments. Bag Matt said, missed the member chat. Any players we can trade to get any type of draft capital. I will always try to answer any of the members. I see NorCal Raider did leave one saying the Jets are good. I will always try to get the member comments. So if you guys become members, just know I will always try to get to your guys' comments. They get marked on the screen for me with the cool little badge, so I know who's a member and who's not. You said that any players we can trade to get any type of draft capital. That's a good question. I think someone like Jonathan Abram could potentially be traded because I think Jonathan Abram has a lot of value. You know, Jonathan Abram hasn't realized his potential, but I think there's teams out there in the league that will value him differently than what I think Raider fans might value him as. All right, Raider fans say he's terrible in coverage, he's this, he's that. But Jonathan Abram has some intangibles that you can't teach, right? He has a physical mindset. He has that leadership qualities, right? He has a lot, and he's a safety. Safeties take a little bit longer to really become good football players, right? 3, 4, 5 years for safeties. And I think Jonathan Abram could be traded for maybe like a 3rd or a 4th round pick, right? If the team really wants him, they would be willing to trade him that. Of course, Darren Waller is a player we can trade for maybe a 2nd round pick, maybe multiple 2nd round picks. Don't be surprised if it happens. I'm going to tell you guys that right now. Darren Waller said this yesterday. He said the Raiders and his team are in contract talks. And again, I'm not saying I want Darren Waller to be traded, but just don't be surprised if it happens. It could happen. I think it's a player that could potentially be traded. Some other guys that could be traded is like Cleveland Farrell. You get like a 7th round pick for him. And that's maybe we might have to give a pick for someone to take Cleveland Farrell. JD said, Sanjit, can you twerk on stream, bro? I cannot. I absolutely cannot. But thank you for the comment. If you guys are members, man, I will answer your guys' questions. Let me know what you guys think about this draft. Cujo, thank you for the super chat, man. I really, really, really appreciate it. You said thanks for all the Raider content, a lot of info. Big shout out to you, man. If you guys don't know this, I actually, you guys do not know this because I haven't announced it, but maybe this week or the week after, I'm planning on having Jonathan Abram on. I may go live, and I may just see if he wants to go live. I'll probably send him like a script of like kind of what we want to stick to because it wouldn't be fair for me to just ask him random questions being live, but it might not be live. So don't quote me that's gonna be live. But I do plan to have Jonathan Hankins. I don't know if I said Abram. I plan to have Jonathan Hankins on. So so just be on the tune for that. Big shout out to you, Cujo. I really appreciate it. Again, if you guys could hit that thumbs up button, it would really, really, really appreciate it. Francisco said Abram should convert to linebacker to save his career. It may happen one day in the future. Yeah, you know what's crazy is I don't know if Jonathan Abram's ready to be a linebacker this year, but I think over time, I think he could. I think he would have to gain a little bit of weight. I think he would have to get a little bit stronger, a little bit bigger. But Abram could convert to a linebacker, a weak side, outside linebacker that could cover tight ends and go out to the slot, defend the backside runs, front side runs if needed. But I think we should try him at safety. And I really want Raider fans to understand this. Jonathan Abram has so much potential. It hasn't been reached yet. And I understand that people may be disappointed with that. But look at what Jonathan Abram is, right? He's not a coverage player. He's a downhill safety. And Jonathan Abram isn't like the 80th best safety in the league. Most people would agree Jonathan Abram is one of the top 20 safeties in this league. Jonathan Abram can go to pretty much every other team. Maybe like 10, like maybe 5 teams would not take Jonathan Abram as a starter because they have 2 safeties. But Jonathan Abram can go to most teams and be a starter. And the fact that Raider fans hate Jonathan Abram so much, I don't know, man. I think the potential that Abram still has, this is literally about to be his 3rd year because he was hurt his rookie year. This 3rd year is going to be the year that Jonathan Abram's going to, in my opinion, show. And I know it's his 4th year, but his 3rd actual year will be the year that he's going to show that he's a really good football player. Shout out to you, Raid. Bag Matt said, congrats and love the content. Keep up the good work. Big shout out to you. Raid the Tape actually said that he thinks Abrams is a great safety, especially strong safety. And that's the thing, right? Is Jonathan Abram is not that bad of a football player. I don't know. I can't get my head around it. You look at Jonathan Abram and compare him to Trayvon Merrick, just an example. Trayvon Merrick is a better coverage safety, right? Like, and what I mean by that is he's better, running deep. He's better at, maybe playing man-to-man on someone. But then Jonathan Abrams way better at taking on blocks and defending the run. Jonathan Abrams is a better tackler. Jonathan Abrams can take on offensive linemen and blitz really well. Jonathan Abrams is great around the line of scrimmage. Now, I know Jonathan Abrams hasn't shown to be a great coverage safety, but maybe we'll see that this year. Maybe we'll see him take that next step in his game, right? Year three of him actually playing. So we'll see what ends up happening there. Big shout out to Ty Davis, said, do we really need another wide receiver? I watched the tapes for last season, and it isn't bad paired with DA, Wren, Waller, and Foster. I don't disagree with you. I don't think the Raiders need another wide receiver, but I want you guys to really think about this. It's almost impossible that the Raiders pay both Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller and Josh Jacobs. In fact, we're probably only going to be able to pay one of them because you can't pay Devontae Adams $28.5 million, Derek Carr $35 million, Max Crosby $25 million, and Chandler Jones $17 million. And then continue to think you're going to pay Darren Waller $15 and Hunter Renfrow $15 and Josh Jacobs $10. It's not possible. It is literally impossible to pay those guys. Unless you have a rookie quarterback making $3 or $4 million, you cannot pay all of those guys. So from that perspective, I don't think Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller will be on this team after this upcoming year, right? I do expect them to be here next year because the cap is fine for this year. But the year after, I don't expect these guys all to be here. I think some of these guys are going to walk. Some of these guys will maybe get traded. I remember when people were saying Max Crosby's going to get paid like $18 million. That was not going to happen. I remember when people were like, Derek Carr is going to get paid like 30 or 32. That was not going to happen, right? These guys are going to get paid. And Darren Waller is not going to get paid like 10 or 11. He's going to get paid 15 or higher. Hunter Renfrow is not going to take $8 million. He's going to get 15 or higher. Christian Kirk just got $18 million. Hunter Renfrow is going to get paid. So my point in saying all that is I think taking a wide receiver, especially one that could have impacts for the Raiders. Remember, Derek Carr does best with wide receivers that he can throw the ball to. I'm not talking about Hunter Renfrow who runs 5-yard routes. I'm talking about wide receivers 15, 20 yards downfield. Derek Carr tore it up with Amari Cooper, Michael Crabtree, and Seth Roberts. And I think having more playmakers, and I'm not saying Edwards can't be that guy, right? He's a 3rd-round pick. He should be that guy. But I don't know if he will be that guy. And I think that's for Josh McDaniels to kind of decide on. But that's a great question, Ty. If I had to say right now, I don't know if it makes sense to take a wide receiver, unless it's a top 2 or 3 guy remaining, right? Timothy Clark says, Ty, I am with you. Edwards is good and getting better. And I am an Edwards stan, so don't forget that, man. Don't think that I don't like Bryan Edwards. I'm a big believer in Bryan Edwards. I think if he has more targets, he can be a better football player. Remember, him and Deebo Samuel was it Deebo Samuel? I think it was Deebo Samuel. They were teammates in college. And they were a great tandem. I think it was Deebo Samuel. Don't quote me on that. But they were great in college. And I think Bryan Edwards can continue to have that success here. Obviously, he needs to develop. He has to develop this year. Patrick Galindo said, what is a good cornerback we can get in the 3rd round? Would you be opposed? I know just on the top of my head, Marcus Jones out of Houston would be a good option. The Raiders did bring him in. There are some players that are going to get taken right away. Right, like Andrew Booth from Clemson's there, Roger McCreary out of Auburn is there. Those guys will be gone. Tarek Woolen from UTSA could potentially be there. I would consider Josh Jobe out of Alabama. I think he has the potential to be a good player. If you get even deeper into it, there's a guy that Clemson has. It's their second corner. I can't remember the name on the top of my head. I think it's good something. Mario Goodrich is maybe his name. Don't quote me, but I think he's going to be a good football player too. I think he could well after the third round. I think he's like a fifth round guy, but sometimes you can get good players later on, right? We got Nate Hobbs last year, in the fifth round, Max Crosby and Hunter Renfrow, right? You can get good football players, right? Those three guys are potential corner pieces. At least Max Crosby is right now, right? We'll see if we can re-sign Renfrow and Nate Hobbs in the future. Yeah, man, it's gonna be interesting to see. I appreciate the comment. S4 Raider said, "Cross our fingers that linebacker Mumo falls to pick 86." What's crazy is I watched him. I watched this tape because he's like a smaller school guy, right? I watched this tape and I just don't see it. Like, I don't know. And maybe he'll be a good football player, but he just doesn't seem like he gets through gaps well, right? And maybe it's because his defensive linemen aren't that good, but I just didn't see it with him, right? He's the Wyoming linebacker, but maybe he'll be good. Maybe he'll be there with pick 86. Personally, I would love for Christian Harris to be there. Now, right now, Christian Harris, I think, is like the number 2 or 3 linebacker remaining. Channing Tyndall from Georgia is still there, which is kind of interesting. Montana State has Troy Anderson. I know some people love him. Brian Asamoah from Oklahoma, another linebacker that people like. There's some good linebackers. I think the depth in this class is there. And the thing is even when the undrafted free agency period comes along, we're gonna pick some good linebackers up, man, because you have 1,400 players, 1,400 when typically there's like 700. So I think a lot of veterans are gonna be out of the league after this year. I really do, based off of how many players are coming out. Teams are going to want to save that cap and stuff like that. So we'll see what ends up happening. I appreciate all the comments. I appreciate all the people that have been here. Read the tape said Goodrich. Yeah, so it is Goodrich. I think he's a good target, but I appreciate it, man. I don't know if I'm going to go live today during the draft. I may at some point go live. Maybe I'll go live as the Raiders kind of make their pick. It's going to be interesting to see who the Raiders pick, and hopefully maybe the Raiders trade up, right? I wouldn't be opposed to that as well. But overall, I think if you can stack more picks, I think the depth in this draft is going to be much better than the depth in future drafts, right? That's just my personal opinion. But with that being said, man, hit that thumbs up button if you guys can. I appreciate the 400 or so of you guys that were here. Thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time with another video.